Well, for more on the heat wave in the U.S. and those climate talks in Beijing, we can now speak to Arise correspondent Rotimi Kade, who joins us live from New Jersey. Thank you for joining us, Rotimi. First of all, could you bring us up to speed with the latest on this extreme heat that's going on in the U.S. and other parts? Which states in the U.S. are suffering the most?
Well, that's right. Most cities in the U.S. will experience triple-digit temperatures starting today till the rest of the week. The National Weather Service actually warns millions of Americans living within the southern belts and California to actually brace up for a smelting heat wave that could see high casualty rates. Smaller cities like Death Valley and Needles in California and Phoenix in Arizona have had 84-day streak of 110 degrees or more at daytime, and of course 47-day streak of nighttime temperatures not below 90 degrees. And you know that heat waves or excessive heat waves comes with the warmer climate, which means that there's going to be heavy rainfalls, and when it falls heavily, it means that we're going to be experiencing a lot of flooding. So that's the second phase that meteorologists are warning major cities to brace up.
Well, Rotimi, and how is the heat impacting on people's everyday lives?
Well, the heat waves are becoming very deadly by the day, especially during this season, especially for the homeless people. For people who work outdoors, like construction workers, and some people like who work outside, like restaurants and etc. For those also who have inadequate air conditioning in their homes. So it's especially harder for older people and for those with underlying health conditions. So the government has given, advisories that people should stay hydrated all the time and possibly stay indoors if you have to. Coupled with the fact that there's poor air quality and visibilities, I should say, that that have added to the sufferings of the masses. And you talk about the visibility, we're talking about, the waves coming from Canada, the wildfire coming from Canada, which of course has more or less trickled down to the U.S. cities, and this coupled with the fact that you have high temperatures, that is really causing a lot of people to actually suffer during this time, and there's no remedial solutions to that for now.
And let's turn to those climate talks that are going on in Beijing. It seems John Kerry sounded quite optimistic on the progress that's going on between the two world's biggest polluters. Any more on that?
Well, of course, yes. John Kerry is currently in China and trying to woo the Chinese government on how both two world largest emitters of greenhouse gases can find common grounds. And of course, it's very imperative for both countries to actually work together and to show the rest of the world that, these two biggest economies in the world can actually cooperate and, of course, begin to address this with a lot of urgency, of course, which will help, other nations to, learn from the USChina leadership. And of course, what is the crux of this particular meeting is for both sides to also see how they can restore relations, which of course have been disrupted by the dispute over trade, sanctions from the U.S., Taiwan, human rights, and of course, Beijing's territorial claims. But the U.S. envoy is particularly more concerned about Beijing's reduction on over-reliance on coal, and of course, setting targets on methane and other things that makes China the biggest polluters in the world. But China, on the other hand, are not giving that right signal, like they're willing to cut down. But talks are still ongoing, and I think the U.S. Envoy will definitely be in China to see a lasting solution to it, at least in the interim.
So what are the main points of contention, between the U.S. and China, especially when it comes to the environment?
Well, the main contention, actually, as I said earlier, is the emission of carbon dioxide, and which, of course, is the main contributor to the ever-increasing temperatures in the world, according to scientists. And, of course, China's over-reliance on coal, which boosts the Chinese economy and invariably increase trade all across the board. But of course, we know that that's one of the biggest challenges. And when you look at even in China itself, the air quality in China is nothing to write home about. But the Chinese government are not really making those showing that, the positive signs that, oh, we're ready to cooperate with you, but rather they're more concerned about increasing the trade and boosting the economy and perhaps edging out the United States as the biggest economy in the world. But of course, with the temperatures increase and that we've been experiencing, especially in 2023, I think this could be a sort of a clarion call for China to actually think otherwise.
Well, Rotimi Kade, thank you so much for joining us and for having a discussion on those topics.